back and allowing Arsenal to impart their game plan.
Cedric again driving out from the back. Typically, when you see a team name 3 central defenders, it is very much a 3-5-2, but here it seems like a flat back 5 from Everton, having to shut up shop very early on in this match. He wins a free kick off Doucouré.
He's not happy, Doucouré, but Thomas Partey, just as he was about to lay the ball, it's a good part of his game as well, Partey, because he's not got great pace. He needs to draw the opposition in, lay it off. We saw it many a time last season, a little 1-2, so he could get in a position to move forward. And he's skilled at it. If he doesn't get the pass off, he draws the foul.
Holgate this time, looking long. Do have a target in Calvert-Lewin. Saliba, watch that one. Every step of the way. Turner in his homeland. Wasn't in North London for long, the goalkeeper.
Calvert-Lewin and Dominic Grayson, they seem to be, and Demarai Gray seem to be withdrawn at the moment, allowing Arsenal central defenders to drop off and get the ball. No one's closing Partey down in the middle. They just seem to be at 6s and 7s. That they seem to be very, very worried about going off shape, fall into a shape which is just causing more pressure on them. They seem to be. They need to get on the front. And Demarai Gray seem to be.
Wonder about the system that they're playing. 2 up top. Does look like it is Demarai Gray getting up there with Calvert-Lewin in support. They did lose a big player this summer for them, Richarlison.
Just seem to be at 6s and 7s.
11 goals in 33 appearances last season, 1 in 3 for the Brazilian.
Fall into a shape which is just causing more pressure. They seem to need to get on the front
to replace it.
Demarai Gray seems to be.
Wonder about the system that they're playing. 2 up top. Does look like it is Demarai Gray getting. Everton are on the counter-attack. Calvert-Lewin up against Saliba. And eventually, the flag does go up. Very late decision. It's pretty clear from our angle that he was offside. But again, Arsenal spring forward, wasting no time at all. Pretty end-to-end so far, this game.
Yeah, I think Arsenal obviously had the better chances and more structure about their game. But Everton have got the pace to damage and to cause trouble, and they're on the front foot again.
And Cuckoo staying wide. Here he is now, the left wing back against Cedric. Portuguese, it's the better of him, but just managed to get the cross in. Cuckoo. Pulled out by the Arsenal defenders, and Xhaka can look to get Martinelli away on that left-hand side. Talk about it quite often, don't we, David? The relationships that certain players have on the pitch, and Xhaka, when he plays in that left-sided 8 role, so good at combining with his winger, whether that's Martinelli, whether that's Saka out there. Saw it especially towards the back end of last season.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because when Xhaka has to slot in at left-back, he doesn't use the left-sided player much. He always comes inside. So him being already 10, 15 metres inside when he receives the ball, it's natural for him to open his body out and just slide that pass in. And I think last season, for me, he was a great player for Arsenal. You know, he rose above all of his criticism from previous seasons. He showed what he was made of. And like you said, that continuity of pass, keeping the ball moving and flowing out there, has really brought players like Martinelli into the game. You know, they owe a lot to Granit Xhaka.
30 appearances for Arsenal last season in all competitions, a goal and 2 assists for Xhaka. Arsenal have their first corner of the game. Turnout in this stadium. It can hold 70,000 at full capacity. Plenty of Premier League fans over in the States. Notice that there are red shirts everywhere that you look in the crowd. Saka then to deliver the first set piece of the game. Towards the far post, Saliba was up there, pretty clear by Davis. Odegaard will just be happy to want Tavares back there. Everton keep it clear once more.
It's a decent corner in from Saka. We saw last season as well, big improvement in set pieces from Arsenal, more goals from corners than previous seasons. And I think just looking at Saliba in there, he's a big lad. I think we'll be looking for him to, you know, impress in those areas as well.
Saka. Isolating Kuku on this side. Looking for the low delivery into the path of Odegaard. Party just a bit too overzealous to win that one back from Doucouré.
Yeah, it was a good touch from Doucouré. He saw Partey coming in, just flicked it over his shoulder, took the challenge, stopped the move, slowed the game down a little bit. Nice attacking from Saka. So I think at the end of last season, for me, he just switched off sometimes when he had one-on-one situations and started to look to be the provider a little bit. Whereas, you know, his game was really built on being the exciting one that made things happen and then got the shot off. And we'd see that more often than not. So I'd like him to be a bit more selfish at times this season. He's got Jesus around him now, and you know, when when Vieira gets involved, I think another player as that creative, he can afford to be a bit more selfish and maybe get a couple more goals, because he could have gone out easily with 3 or 4 more last season.
Saka, 12 goals in all competitions last season, leading the way. Smith Rowe was next best with 11, and Nketiah with 10. 77 goals last season scored by Arsenal, scored by 17 different players as well. I like to think that this season, from Gabriel Jesus to the mix, is going to boost that tally somewhat. Another free kick for Arsenal, given away by Nkuku. Don't really think he can have too many arguments about this one.
Just tried to hook his leg around Saka. He's not really gone through the back of him, but definitely a free kick.
Davis looking to escape the clutches of Cedric. Next referee waving him up to his feet again. The pressure from Calvert Lewin. There have been a few slightly late challenges from Everton so far. Partey on that occasion protecting the ball very well. Treading that fine line, isn't it, in pre-season between a competitive game and one that could potentially injure a player.
Yeah, I think the thing is, Max, everybody's trying to find their fitness, aren't they? And they don't want to go rushing in, running from the start of the game. The big thing about pre-season games is the manager will say, take the time. Once you get your second wind, you'll settle down, and everything will go into gear. Your breathing will get right. You'll be able to go on your longer runs. However, it's hard to hold back, and a lot of the time you get caught in between two. You don't make the challenge, but you're running fast. As we've seen a couple of times, it ends in a cynical challenge because you're overcommitted. And Everton, because they're doing it off of a bad shape, just a little bit late all the time. I mean, that situation there, you want to fall back on Saka when he gets his first touch.
Cedric delivers the ball. Jesus is at the far post now. There's that push in the back from Nathan Patterson. Arsenal seem to think so. Did see a similar one of those given against Arsenal in the North London derby against Cedric. It's his ball here. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I think it would have been harsh to be a penalty. Jesus is aware that the elbow's gone into his back a little bit. There's a slight push, but, you know, he's not small, and he should really be able to hold his ground. So I think my argument as a referee would be, you know, you need to be a bit stronger. If you want to get them decisions, you've got to be properly knocked over.
Can't fault Jesus' commitment to the cause as he was charging down the ball then. Certainly adds something else up top for Arsenal, as well as the goals. He's got this persistence, and here he is now. Doesn't he, Jesus? Can't afford to give him a second of space.
It's an awful mistake, though. Everton, nowhere to go. Curry finding himself trapped in a corner, gives it back. Ball comes inside to no one. That's a gift, Jesus, but it's a great save.
This means Arsenal get a corner, which they take quickly. Improvised ball from Odegaard towards the far post. They've had to make the decision. That was the right one from the England international.
That's a delightful little dink from Odegaard. He total control as that ball comes out. He cycles it over the top. It just puts it into a good area. Arsenal asking all the questions.
Nice to see the Gunners mixing things up from set pieces. It looks like much more of an orthodox delivery this time round. It comes from Cedric. The post. And eventually cleared away. Jesus wasn't too far away from it, the far post either. Here he is now, the Brazilian. That was Saka. McCarthy. It's in again. Just hook it as far away from their goal as they can. Saliba gives away the free kick.
It's really good defending by Saliba there. He's forced Calvert-Lewin over on the ball. But look at this, a great delivery in. And a header's fantastic from Xhaka. Good timing. He's looking at the far post as he heads it. He's beat everyone, but just no one there to get it as it bounces off the post. Really good header there. Good delivery.
It's almost underrated in a sense, isn't he? Granit Xhaka on his danger, his level of threat from set pieces. He's a tall player. He's good in the air. He's strong as well. Very close to scoring the first goal on stateside this year for Arsenal. Again, Everton go long for Calvert-Lewin. Turner very quickly off his line to gather that one. A warm reception from his home fans. Suarez has managed to wriggle away that left-hand side. Good dancing footwork from the former Benfica man. Arsenal not only dominating possession, had more shots. Seeing Pickford into a stop from Jesus before rattled the frame of the goal just moments ago.
Yeah, I think more of a worry for Lampard will be that the individual battles are just being lost. And it's because they're putting themselves under pressure, Everton. They're giving the ball back into areas where it's already congested. There's not enough movement in front of them. When they haven't got the ball, they're simple, their timing, their closing down isn't right. So they're just finding it difficult to hold on to it.
It's worth mentioning that Arsenal come into tonight's game having already played 2 friendlies. Everton, this is their first. They did play a behind closed doors inter-squad friendly, which I didn't release too many details of. So certainly looking closer to match sharpness. And again, as Martinelli this time want to win back possession from Doucouré. Ten goals in those 2 early pre-season fixtures for Arsenal. The first 5 against Ipswich Town. Eddie Nketiah, of course, scoring a hat-trick. And Gabriel Jesus turning it on in Germany at the end of their training camp at the Adidas headquarters. Still no breakthrough here, though.
There is from Arsenal some really nice rotation on the left and right hand side. Xhaka, Martinelli going inside and outside, making space for Partey, and on the opposite side, Xhaka and Suarez doing it vertical. It's working really well. Everton just can't cope with it.
Given away that time by Xhaka. Can Everton profit? 3 players with the man carrying the ball. Decore has gone deep towards Calvert-Lewin. It was a good first touch. Cedric was there with him. Did really well to recover. Arsenal's right back.
You've got to say it's a fantastic ball over the top to Calvert-Lewin, but the take's really good. He just catches Saliba watching the ball. Cedric's got his back, in a good position to cover. And, you know, that's all good. At least Arsenal's system is working. They're getting the right cover on the right players from the right players.
The first corner for Everton, taken short by Damari Gray. It's completely wasted by Niels Nkuku. That's a mark profit, though. Did. Get a touch there on Dele Alli as he went to ground. There wasn't really too many protests from the former Spurs man. Arsenal can race away. Tavares. We're looking for the switch of play, and Pickford will try to keep that one in. Not fail. And we'll kick it away in frustration. Just take another look at this incident here. Don't think there's enough contact there for either of us, David, as you shake your head next to me.
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons why I'm shaking my head, because of how the person fell and because it's in his nature to fall like that. Referee saw it again. You know, never a penalty.
Down the other end, 20-year-old Nathan Patterson will get us underway. Actually joined from Rangers, 5.5-year deal in January. Fortunately, struggled with injury in his first season. That made his debut against West Ham and suffered an ankle injury, which kept him out for the rest of the campaign. Mina. Now to Kure. Tidy play from Everton for the first time this evening. Some nice touch by Nkuku as well. Stings the palms of Matt Turner.
There was a great take by Nkuku, and first time they've really had a forward run and a set-up pass. It was a nice set-up for Davies to ping it out there. It's a good strike. As you said, Matty Turner's right behind it. Safety first from Suarez. But there's opportunities for both sides now. Arsenal's have more structure, and I was going to say Tottenham's because of Dele Alli. Everton's tend to have just the one pass. You know, they're going long ball, direct route.
Plenty of big targets to aim for. One of them was Mina. Know just how dangerous Yerry Mina can be from set pieces. The towering centre-back. And direct that one on target.
It's difficult. He's moving backwards. I think the best he could do was to try and nod it down for any oncoming players, but I was just going for a water break, I think.
It does give Frank Lampard the opportunity to get a few tactical instructions in there. And certainly be the coach with the most to say, you imagine, after the opening 22 minutes.
I think if I was the Everton manager, Frank Lampard, I'd be saying you need to be reading the game a little bit quicker. You know, get those first 2 yards in your head where you know you need to be. Get there ready for when the pass goes. Be prepared for it so you can get on the players, Arsenal's first touches, and also when they're on the ball, just a bit more movement. They're very static. They stay in their position because I think they're worried about getting attacked, so they want to stay in that shape, that 5 at the back or 5 across the midfield. But you need to break out of it. But I think the long ball's working for him as well. So I'd say stick at that. Calvert-Lewin looks like he's getting behind at times. So yeah, it's an interesting difference in styles.
Mikel Arteta never truly looks happy. He's part of this new generation of coaches who, even with a win, 3-0 win, comfortable win, there'll still be bits that he wants to improve. Bit of a perfectionist, but see exactly what his plan is. Arsenal heading in the right direction again.
I think what he's got is, Max, over the last season, specifically, he has developed a style of play. He's stayed with the same system 90% of the time. And he's got a squad of most of the players are under 25 now. And so he's looking strong.
Last season's youngest average starting age in the Premier League did belong to Arsenal. 24 years and 308 days. It's a whole year younger than the next best team, Brentford. That's each of the youngest Premier League 11s last season were Arsenal sides. As with all young players, they'll learn from their experiences. The rough and tumble of Premier League opposition, just like that there. I just need to be a bit careful here. Takure and Gabriel. His tempers start to flare up. It's a pre-season friendly. Doesn't mean that we won't see a bit of bite.
Yeah, I think Takure needs to be careful there. Everything was done in a gentlemanly fashion by the Arsenal players. He's hacked down Martinelli, I believe. And then he's had a little coming together with Gabriel. See him here. He's had a couple of snaps at him. Falls on him, gets up, then takes the ball away. Gabriel's doing nothing by trying to knock the ball out of his hands. And then he retaliates again. If that was a Premier League, would be definitely the card. And that's what Everton need to control. Them sort of emotions. It's only 26 minutes in a game where it's 0-0 and players are behaving like that. They're off focus.
It's also nice to see Gabriel almost sticking up for his younger brother there. Saw a feature with Prini from one of the tour diaries that are going out on Arsenal.com and Arsenal's YouTube channel throughout the course of this tour. Prini sat down with the 3 Gabbies. It was really heartwarming to see just how well the 3 of them got on. Almost is like a little Brazilian family within the Arsenal squad. It's always useful to have that enforcer on the pitch to have your back. Well, here's Patterson on the right-hand side for Everton. Gabriel's there again to protect his goal on this occasion.
And Tavares got caught ball watching. He found himself tucked too far inside. Left a lot of space down that right. Couldn't get out there on the first touch. The ball was easily put in the box.
Holgate on a mazy run of his own. Being dispossessed in midfield. Safety first from Granit Xhaka. Again, Arsenal looking to go forward every opportunity they get. Here's Odegaard. Partey to the feet of Odegaard. Bounce favourably for Saka on this near side. Cuckoo's back there to defend.
What I liked about that, Max, you could almost see before possession was lost, Saka was trying to anticipate where it was going to go and and pick up that sec. That's reading of the game. That's when I say the first 2 yards in your head. He's already moving before that had happened.
Here he is now. All at his feet. Now with Gabriel Jesus. It's turn tackle by Doucouré.
I remember George Graham telling us, and it was a big ethos of our side back in the 90s, that everything in a football match has happened before. Okay, so if you can recognise the situation you are in, you will know how to get out of it, if that makes sense. Just picture yourself how many times you've been there, you've done it. It's happened all the time, all of those situations. And you've only got to, the one who recognises them all the quickest gets there first, and it's part of it. And if you can all do that as a team, the chain reaction, you know, you've got it.
And that's the beauty of these pre-season friendlies, isn't it? That you're getting much more exposure to situations like that. Sure, you may make mistakes, but you learn from them. As you mentioned there, it's about positioning on the pitch, finding out where you are. I know that Arsenal have historically done a lot of work with VR headsets as well, being able to put themselves back into a situation.
Yeah, exactly. And then you recognise it. You've got that picture in your mind, so you've got not just one pass on, you've got a whole sort of 4 or 5 different options already, because you've been in that position many a time and you know what your options are and also what they're not, which is most important. You know, what you can't do or what you shouldn't do in those positions.
Ben Godfrey there, flying in to win the header up against Bukayo Saka. Just turns around to make sure his England colleague isn't feeling the effects of a boot towards his face. He's okay, Everton's number 22. Partey. Cedric over the top for Jesus, pushing into the park. Saka gone into an offside position.
Nice bit of interplay though, looking for each other. Jesus and Bukayo.
Half an hour gone in Baltimore. Still have dominated. They've had the better chances. Hit the post as well through Granit Xhaka. Nothing to show for it on the scoreboard just yet.
Both goalkeepers having to make a save as well. I think, you know, but both teams have worked hard. Certainly got something out of it physically in this first half. And it is a shame that these pre-season friendlies, that you do see so many changes, because when they get fatigued, that's when you see more chances.
Goes around the side this time. Took a vital intervention from Yerry Mina to stop that one. Finding an Arsenal shirt in the middle.
You know, those long legs just got in the way. But again, they had 8 bodies back in the box, Everton, to defend that.
Plenty of players in front of him, as David Hillier points out. Even Pickford, who's given that one straight away. Now, here's Martinelli, beating Mina. This cross is deflected behind. And out to safety for Everton.
I mean, has done really well again there. He's got right in the path of Martinelli, and because of the speed Martinelli's moving at, he couldn't really do a trick. So there was only one option for him. It's good defending by the big Everton centre-back. Awful distribution from Pickford, though, but he had no options. He looked right, he looked left, he looked left, he looked right. Then he felt forced to make that throw.
Which is crazy when you think about it, because he's, as you mentioned, had about 8 Everton players in front of him the whole game. Anyway, comes the corner, and again, it's a sea of blue stood inside the 6-yard box. Pickford back to it. Jesus, from far into the empty net. He's done it again. Gabriel Jesus, flying start to life in red and white. Opens the scoring. It's Everton 0, Arsenal 1.
Right, it's a great finish, isn't it? I mean, it's a good corner. It's badly defended, you've got to say. Very static from Everton. Everyone standing still. I thought Pickford should have got there, but the touch and the finish, there's only one place he can put it. He's got one chance and one touch, and he does it all perfectly. And that's what Arsenal have paid the money for. Someone who can do that.
That first touch is absolutely brilliant when you see it from that angle, isn't it? Completely kills it in its stride. Sets him up perfectly to find the roof of the net. The Arsenal fans are enjoying that one. Two goals. His first appearance for the club against Nuremberg. Actually, 95 in 236 games during 5 seasons in Manchester. Of course, there were the 4 Premier League titles, 3 League Cups, 1 FA Cup. He's just so prolific when given those opportunities, Gabriel Jesus. And I say it, could be missing piece of the puzzle.
I like the way you mentioned all of those honours, Max, and you expect it to be talking about someone who's like 32, 33. But you often forget how young he is.
Still only 25.
Yeah, it's amazing that he can still do it all again, and hopefully help Arsenal bring some of those honours back to the Emirates, back to North London.
It's a goal that Arsenal have so richly deserved for the way that they've started this game. Opening few minutes certainly set the tone for what was to follow. Everton did rally back in. Have had 1 or 2 opportunities themselves. Really, they have spent a lot of this half chasing the ball.
You can see it again, there's no chain reaction when closing down. Calvert-Lewin there, he's not going to the ball. Suarez is not getting closed down. He's not quite getting anywhere. There's no urgency. So all the players behind him, when the player on the ball has got time, you have to sit off. You can only go tight when there's pressure on the ball.
And here's James wriggling free. Sits up the pass. Just like that. Arsenal double their lead. Jesus heavily involved again. And this time it's Saka who runs away with the finish. Arsenal really asserting their dominance on this game now.
Yeah, it's an excellent 3 minutes for Arsenal. I don't think the ball was intended for Bukayo, but it gets through. And we said it earlier about anticipation, about making the right move at the right time. And he does that as it goes across Martinelli. Martinelli can't get there. What is Bukayo doing? Exactly what he should. Up against the 2 Everton defenders covering the far post. He's looking at it all the way. Body shape's excellent. Is he a little potentially offside? VAR would have a good look at that, I suppose, but it's what he needs to be doing, Max.
Well, Arsenal's 3-pronged attack in full force there. I really liked about that. We spoke about Jesus and the threat in behind, but that was his hold-up play there. He showed short for the ball. Gabriel fires it into his feet. He's allowed to turn, and then he can cause that level of devastation when he gets into the area.
I think what else was good is when he pulled off to come short for that ball, Max, someone filled the hole. Martinelli made that run. But, you know, and that's what it's about. It's about filling an empty space. And the fluency, it looks good.
Well, Arsenal really gone up through the gears in the past couple of minutes.
See, that's good pressure. You've got one player chasing on the first touch, and that player, Everton player, knows he's under pressure. He's got to deliver, and he can't even afford to get his head up, as he does. 2 more Arsenal players there. It is the Pep Guardiola, style, isn't it? It's the Barca style of closing down up front, winning the ball back high press, putting the pressure on. But that's all about timing and reading, and we're getting it there. In the Premier League, is that a foul? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that's good closing down.
It's the sort of thing that only gets easier, I guess, the more that you play with specific teammates. You'll know from your experiences as well, David, that when you get thrown into a team that you haven't played with before, it's difficult to get that sense of when people are running. But you already alluded to it, when Jesus is even just dropping off and Gabriel Martinelli knew exactly where to be at that time. It's the sort of relationships on the pitch that you just develop over time when you're playing week in, week out, different competitions. It's only going to help that to gel.
Yeah, it's an understanding of what the player that you're playing alongside, what his abilities are. And you want to give him the best chance. When you give him a pass, you want to give him the best chance of doing the best he can with it. And when you understand your team, for instance, today, I've noticed Saliba is playing really tight on Calvert-Lewin. So he's playing so tight that it allows Cedric Suarez to go and pick the ball off his toes. And Suarez knows every time that the ball goes in to Calvert-Lewin, he can go and close him down because he's going to be squeezed from behind.
There is Saliba, forced back this time. Turner's there as well, though. Saka is offside. Last season, Arsenal played fewest number of games since 1989. It actually failed to score in 14 of the 45 games. Sense that may not be a problem this time around if they're as good going forward as they've looked during this pre-season.
Well, it is only early doors. We just see another example of Granit Xhaka's importance. Just swept that ball out first time, left foot into the path of Tavares, and he whipped a ferocious ball across the box. Jesus was a little bit disappointed with himself he didn't get there.
Everton trying out from the back. So they have struggled with Pickford's distribution so far this evening. Yeah, and that's an easy enough ball for Arsenal to pick off. Five minutes left in this first half. We're expecting to see changes at half-time, deep into the second half as well. Already plenty of encouraging performances from the 11 players out there in Arsenal shirts. Away by Cedric, though, the commentator's curse.
You can bet your bottom dollar that Mikel Arteta, as much as he knows he needs to make changes and he can't keep certain players on the pitch, he would want him to be keeping his best 11 on there and winning this game by as many goals, because that's the nature of the man. You know, he is very much, I want to dominate, I want to dominate, I want to dominate the whole game. And it must be difficult when you know you're going to make changes, you're going to upset the balance and maybe lose your own balance in it for the sake of fitness and, you know, protection. But it is a great shame that these pre-season games have so many changes. But you might see a bright spark in that second half of something that he hasn't seen before that he can use in the season.
Even with this team that we're seeing in the first half, you see very experienced. Just Matt Turner to deal with this one. And Saliba, two players who are looking to impress and get their names onto the team sheet in the Premier League next season. So the likes of Nuno Tavares as well. Cedric Suarez, of course, he is an experienced campaigner in the Premier League, but Tomiyasu has had that right-back slot nailed down when he's fit.
And there's still quite a few, you know, people that you'd say would certainly come in. Obviously, Kieran Tierney, you know, no-brainer. But you've always got to have those players in reserve who are good enough not to cause any major problems when they come in and potentially, you know, bring something to the table. But you want those players to be safe. And Suarez, Cedric, for what he does, safety is paramount. And I think he's got that now. And I think most of the time, his silly mistakes have gone. He knows how to cover his defenders, but he also knows he's probably not going to be there, like you said, week in, week out.
It's a nice hostile reception for Delhi. They collected the ball there. Lots of Gooners inside the stadium. Indeed, across America as well. It's always a great experience when Arsenal are able to go stateside, link up with so many American fans. Just American fans. Firmi was saying that he actually met up with some fans from Nepal as well, who really do use these pre-season tours as an opportunity to travel with the team. Really nice to see. Get a bit closer to their heroes. Let's take by Cedric.
Yeah, I think pre-season tours now are a time when the players are accessible, because throughout the season it's very difficult because they're so guarded by their clubs and the socials and the media and stuff, that it's a really free and easy time, the pre-seasons, and relaxed, and the players make the most of it.
Godfrey's entering into another challenge. It's the second time that he's pretty full-blooded into an Arsenal player. The first was Saka, second was Jesus. It's a minor concern. Right on the edge of the area.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse, couldn't it? He's gone for a real sweep. He's just clipped that trailing leg, hasn't he? Across his foot. Let's hope he's okay with that. I mean, it's things like that. The manager now, he'll be thinking, if he was going to keep him on for 10, 15 more minutes, is it really worth it? You know, the player's got he's got a boot there. That bruise is that's going to come out in the next couple of days. It's going to be a sore one. It's going to be a baddie, as one of my kids would have said when they was little. But you've got to manage that now. Three gaddies together.
Godfrey is the first name to go into the book. Don't expect to see too many bookings in pre-season. He made sure of it with that challenge. Jesus still not very happy about it. Rightly so. Odegaard, Xhaka, Cedric and Thomas Partey all crowded round the ball. Just right of centre. Plenty of opportunity for ball to go up and down. Enough space to dip the free kick in here.
Yeah, it looks like it's set up for a lefty with the three to the right-hand side, just trying to block the flight of the ball. I wonder whether it'll be up and over to the left of Pickford, where he's leaving the space. Well, for me, that would probably be Odegaard, but we've seen Xhaka smash these before. Well, both him and Odegaard.
Well, it is Odegaard. Well off target from the Norwegian. 2 minutes added on at the end of this first half. He'll be disappointed. He knows he can do better.
Yeah, it will be. Good. He had a good line, just needed to drop down a bit, didn't it? The trajectory wasn't the greatest.
Secure. Still picking out Patterson. Okay. But Lewin, I think, had strayed offside. Tamara Gray certainly has. So Dele Alli.
Well, that's really, I mean, Dele's running there was poor. He knew he was off. It's the first real positive move from Everton, where the ball into the midfield went forward first. There was a run off of that opened up the space and a little bit of crossover movement. The first little glimpse we've seen.
Bit of pace to it as well. The first time pass. Everton have been a bit guilty of dwelling on the ball in this first half. And there is the whistle. Which brings an end to an action-packed first 45 minutes in Baltimore, Maryland. Mikel Arteta certainly will be the happier of the two managers. Gabriel Jesus scoring his third goal in just 2 games in red and white for Arsenal, thumping into the roof of the net after Everton failed to clear a corner. And then it was Jesus again, this time playing provider, to set up Bukayo Saka at the far post to make it 2-0. And of course, bring it to a half-time score in Baltimore. Arsenal 2, Everton 0. Well, the squad certainly been ramping up their pre-season preparations in Baltimore since arriving on Wednesday evening, but leaving the UK hasn't taken them away from the scorching temperatures, though, as Rob Holding can certainly vouch for.
Number 2 up. Yeah, bro. Huh? I'm good, thank you. No. Okay. Small. 13 years old. Small. Yeah. Small guy. Let's go.
Morning, fellas.
My guy.
You ready, Mo?
Okay.
Good. Are you ready?
Yeah, good.
I was already.
Three, two.
No, yeah, of course. Open you. No. Look at, yes, thank you.
Right round, hand on your chest. 4. Oh, backs and your hips. Okay, from the blue to red, knee hugs. Walk out, drive one down. Squeeze that in. Squeeze the glute on your standing leg. Get in. Good, William. Left, right, now cross the flow. Eddie. Well done! No shot, up! Got you, Hector. Tommy, shut up, right! Keep on! Right foot, go, Sammy! Right, yes. General, what? Hasn't turned! Now, it hasn't turned! Yes!
Ready. Watch the switch.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yes, ready, go, ready. Go, hold it. Left side. I'm forward.
So let's take a look at the best moments from that first half, starting with this effort from Jesus, saved by Pickford.
Yeah, pounced on an awful pass, didn't he? Inside again, Everton nowhere to go. Loose ball inside, but look how sharp he is. Gets on it. It's a great save by Pickford down to his left. First time Arsenal found the ball through the group of Everton players.
And then there was this bit here, a delightful ball whipped in from Cedric. And it's off the post.
Yeah, crashing the header in off the post. Jesus at the far post, diving in, trying to read it. Look at that anticipation, but it's great delivery, great header, great direction from Xhaka.
And again, there's the anticipation. He knew almost exactly where he needed to be, didn't he, Jesus? Pickford flapping. Jesus takes a touch before hammering it home.
Yeah, he's in exactly the same place as he was for the previous corner as well, but he just peeled off first touch on the half volley. Unbelievable. One place, one gap. He finds it, top of the bins, look.
And then just to prove that he's not just a penalty box poacher, a huge role in Saka's goal to make it 2-0.
Yeah, good little bit of interplay with Martinelli. Feeds the ball through to the running forward, but it doesn't go to Martinelli. Saka's in that position on the right-hand side to pick it up. So all the chances, both the goals coming in that corner.
It's been a really, really positive first 45 minutes from Arsenal. I'm sure we're going to see some changes for the second half as well. We'll be right back with you very, very soon. You just stay tuned. Probably about 7 or so minutes away. We'll bring you all of the action from the second half as Arsenal lead here at the break by 2-0. So wholesale changes for Everton at the start of this second half. As many for Arsenal. You see there Matt Turner, Rio Martinelli, Gabriel and Granit Xhaka all still on the field. Fabio Nenny, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, to Bellerin, Eddie Nketiah have come on. So Nicola Pepe's up there as well. Given away though, there might be an opportunity on for Everton. Turner wasn't sure. Saliba's going to get back there to help out his goalkeeper. Safety first from the American. Rob Holding's able to carry this one out. Thwarted by Alex Iwobi though, former gunner. With a number of changes made by Frank Lampard at the interval.
And pretty much as we saw at the start of the first half, Arsenal with a chance. It was Everton then. See, it's a cheeky chance attempt. I'm not sure it's going in, but you're right. Matt Turner weren't sure, so he just palmed it away. But I think the change in formation as well for Arsenal, 3 central defenders on now, has just changed it up a little bit. There's a different dynamic, you know. Holding's gone in the middle, so now Gabriel and Saliba have got to spread that bit wider and become more advanced as well, leaving Holding the deepest, and just a little bit of time taken to settle into that.
Anthony Gordon, Everton's new number 10. Both arms up to deliver this one. Deep as well, Holding's there to meet it. Jean-Philippe Gbamin. All the way back to substitute goalkeeper, Billy Krellin. On the club in January. Very promising youngster. Another slight concern for Arsenal. It's another Brazilian down. Rio Martinelli clutching his ankle. Got a bit of a sore one. Stanley Mills.
Yeah, he just had a loose touch, Mills, as he received the ball here. Just that it gets out of his feet, doesn't he? And Martinelli's well entitled to go for that, but he's just rolled over the top of the ball, Mills, and caught Gabby in his shin.
Bit more assured from Mills this time. Markowski, nice touch as an Everton player. A lot of committed challenges going in. Still do escape with the ball. It's Mohamed El-Neni looking for options there. See that among the young substitutions that have been made by Frank Lampard, there is still Opportunity for a veteran in the form of Salomon Rondon, 32-year-old Venezuelan. Also a favourite of Lampard's predecessor, Rafa Benitez. She managed him at 3 separate clubs. Now finds himself trying to prove his capabilities to a new manager. Holding. Martinelli.
Wondering whether there's any significance to that injury that Jesus limped off with at the end. Hopefully, the team can get working on that, sort that bruising out. I said it's a concerning pre-season games, and he's looking fit and sharp though. So I think if he has to miss one or half a game or a little bit of training, won't be a problem.
The last time that Arsenal were pre-season action in America, played against Real Madrid, Marco Asensio did his ACL. Sorts of injuries can happen. Thankfully, Jesus was right back on his feet, wasn't he? So let's just hope it was minor knock. Anthony Gordon goes down, wins the free kick. Lots of hope on the blue side of Merseyside. Around Anthony Gordon. And, Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year last season. Actually started the campaign with just 20 senior appearances and more than tripled that by the end of the season. It's actually so important that Frank Lampard started him in 19 out of his 21 games in charge.
I do think it's important for Everton to, stick to their old school roots of, bringing players through and having young players. So it is good to see these young lads on the pitch now. I think in the last 2 seasons, they've probably been guilty of having too many players who have already been part of a legacy at a different club, going there as a sort of swan song, or, even Alex Iwobi, he'd had such a great career at Arsenal. I think it was going to be second best going to Everton.
Okay, he does. Move forward. Anthony Gordon. Wins the corner.
He does well under pressure there, doesn't
Power, he's direct, isn't he?
Yeah, he does well under pressure as well. He's holding off an experienced defender. He's clever. Gets his body between the ball. And he knew that he couldn't turn him or get beyond him. So just run it out and force him out for a corner.
Still only 21 years old. Nobody played more games in an Everton shirt last season. Will deliver the corner as well. Will go short. Stanley Mills showing a bit of pace himself. Worst ball in either. I think had to be well positioned. Mills wins it back. Now Iwobi. Saw him thumping under a strike in his final appearance for Arsenal in the Europa League final back in 2019. Connected with plenty of power on that occasion. There's no real direction.
Yes, young Stanley Mills, though, making everything happen there. Final shot goes high over the bar. It was a great run by Mills initially. Decent cross. And then he popped up to recycle the ball back in.
Michaelenko winning the ball back. And there's Michael Keane. And Tarkowski, 2 former Burnley men. Now playing for Everton.
I think Tarkowski was at Burnley way too long. They done well to hold on to him for the last 2 seasons. Stalwart at the back for him. Quality player. Probably one of the more footballing players in the side. Wasn't just a head on a stick, if you like, at centre back. Had a bit of quality about him. Still of an age where he can be of a benefit to a club moving forward.
29 years old, James Tarkowski. 94 Premier League appearances in just 6 years for Burnley. how valuable he was to the Clarets. They're in. Xhaka looking for Nicola Pepe. It's interesting to see the positions that the Ivorian picks up. I think he's very much playing in a front two with Eddie Nketiah at the moment.
Yeah, a bit of rotation. Nketiah was out wide then, so Pepe's come into the more central area. I think it suits Pepe as well. He likes to cut in from the side, so you'll probably see him going around either side of Nketiah more than you'll see Nketiah moving out of the middle. But Arsenal not really using this spare player at the back. As we can see, it's a 3v1 situation. Everton don't have to commit many players forward.
The passing's not been quite as crisp in this second half from the Gunners. Holding helps that one across to Gabriel. It's a bit better from the Brazilian. Martinelli. And again, he sees Stanley Mills in his way. So this time, Arsenal attack down the right side. They're in. Pepe looks to operate in these pockets. It's a smart run from Martinelli. It's out across as well. Mills was back there. So they're just happy to clear their lines.
Good awareness from Stan Mills at the back. You can see Xhaka creeping in behind him, and he's got his body on the right angle. You can see man and ball. Deals with it well.
Stanley Mills, if you're wondering, yes, you do recognise the surname. He's the son of former Man City, Leeds and England defender Danny Mills. He was in the Leeds Academy until the age of 14. He joined Everton. Footballing idol, actually, despite him being a right back like his dad. His footballing idol's Frank Lampard.
Well, that's nice and handy, isn't it?
I'm not sure that I'm not sure his dad would have taken that news too well. Certainly didn't enjoy playing against Arsenal in his time, especially not Thierry Henry. Anyway, here's his son. To Gbamin. Kalenko's not going to be able to keep that one in. Space for Martinelli to the possession into. Maitland-Niles can get this one out of his feet. Plenty of venom on the strike. And find the target.
Yeah, it was a good forward pass. Very quick forward pass from El Neni into Maitland-Niles. Good awareness. Turned into the space. It was a fair strike as well. Just didn't have it on target. But sure signs that Arsenal have got that sharp movement going. Even with the substitutes that have come on, they've settled into that side. I think we're still trying to get to grips with this back three. Ideally, when you play a back three, you want two of the opposition to come on to two of your players, so you get out on the opposite side on the spare man. Once you've got that, there's normally a big gap in the midfield for then the midfield to start making moves. But we've just got three at the back, occupied by two who are sitting in between them and not really doing too much with it. So it is really down to the midfield. And Maitland-Niles is just playing in front of El Neni, which is fine. You know, it works well.
Salomon Rondon, known for his pressing. That's why Arsenal are slower to the ball out from the back. Tarkowski. Rondon does give chase on this occasion. And dealt with by two centre-backs on this left side, and now Maitland-Niles can drop a bit deeper. Nelly next to him. The other options in midfield. It's a position which Arsenal a bit short on numbers for last season. You see Maitland-Niles spending the season away on loan at Roma. Lucas Torreira away in Italy as well. Torreira is on the bench. Lokonga on the bench too. I wonder whether we'll see them before the night is done.
I'd like to, Max. I like to think Torreira still has a future at the club. You know, great player, and I can see him doing good things along. Oh, here we go.
Well, here's Martinelli, able to finally get his head down. It's an excellently timed challenge from Tarkowski. Showing exactly why they brought him to the club.
Yeah, he's took a little impact on the inside of his foot, but I had Martinelli down to roast him here, but Tarkowski does well, doesn't he? He shows in the area he wants to go in, and his timing's perfect.
Back on his feet. And Arsenal gets us back underway. A corner taken by Martinelli. It's going to be too deep for anyone to get on the end of. Mention about players returning from loan spells. Reece Nelson, a very successful end to his loan spell at Feyenoord, helping them reach the Europa Conference League final. Fortunately, they did come up second best.
Step in. Step in.
Whether we'll see him sooner rather than later. It's coming on for Martinelli. He's been playing since the start of this game, of course.
Yeah, I think it's obvious from the changes that Mikel Arteta made in the last game against Nuremberg and the changes against Ipswich that this is the game where players are having increased game time, getting up to 60 minutes, maybe 70.
Excellent turn of pace from Saliba there to get himself back on side. Back goal side, I should say. Anthony Gordon, such a threat in behind. French defender. Pushed him all the way.
Just looking at the run first. Yeah, he's matched him all the way. Good timing, good reading. And also the anticipation after. He's still dropping off for the angle, ready for the ball back from the keeper, you know. Continuation of play, not switching off.
Another positive season out on loan. 21-year-old. Also was immediately loaned back to Saint Etienne after joining Arsenal in 2019. Some good progress at Nice and Marseille. The latter finished second in Ligue 1. Also reached the semi-final of the Europa Conference League. Actually named in the Ligue 1 Team of the Year. Really hoping he's able to make an impact in England this time around. Certainly has all of the tools.
I say, Max, with the introduction of these young lads for Everton, there's a lot more movement. They're a lot livelier. They're more willing to receive the ball.
Still pass. Lenko was underneath it. He wins the header up against Bellerin. Lewis Warrington, the number 51 midfield, has just kept things ticking over, kept the ball moving. It's been tested with a few passes as well by his centre-backs. Responded well to the challenge, though. Warrington. Did spend 6 months in League Two, Tranmere Rovers last season. It's another local lad, born in Birkenhead. It's exactly the type of player that the Everton fans want to get behind. Xhaka running on the ball. So good at that, though. Winning free kicks like that.
You've got to say, classic Xhaka, and you could see the look on Alex Iwobi's face because he'd obviously seen it many a time, not just in games, but in training. Yeah, it's a trademark. When he can't go nowhere, he stands over the ball, doesn't he? He leaves his legs a little bit wider open, so his stance nice and strong. But also, well, it's a strong stance. It's one easy where you can be easily pushed over, and The refs fall for it every time.
Both teams continuing their pre-season schedules in America. Everton travel to Minneapolis next to take on Toffees legend Adrian Heath's Minnesota United. Lions Field on Wednesday. And they go back to England to face Championship side Blackpool, Bloomfield Road next Sunday. Then the pick of their pre-season for me, they're playing a friendly against Dynamo Kiev. Goodison on July the 29th, raising money for humanitarian causes, supporting the people of Ukraine. Very strong connection now with Mikolenko in their side.
Showed really good place, Mikolenko then on that little break with Gordon on that left-hand side. Give Frank Lampard encouragement, a bit of directness and a bit of pace. So at the start of the game, you mentioned Calvert-Lewin not having...
Skip all over the top, and then got slightly too early. And it was up.
Yeah, just saying, that you mentioned before the game, didn't you, about Calvert-Lewin not having a great season last season due to injury, and it was really Richarlison picking up the pieces. Here we're looking at the pace, that left-hand side. Lenko just showing great speed, and Gordon on the overlap. Yeah, and just saying they missed out on him last year, so have a couple of players coming in with a bit of pace after losing Richarlison, selling him from Tottenham. They are really, at the moment, for me, looking to see where goals are going to come from. It's going to be important that they get them from everywhere.
Still just the one signing for Everton in this transfer window. Stojakowski picking him up on a free after his Burnley contract until the end. Mills whips in a ball towards Rondon. Tough passes like that. This time looking for Iwobi down the line. Real can shepherd that one out. Crosstown rivals have been much busier than Everton. Liverpool, of course, picking up Darwin Nunez, 70 million. Fabio Carvalho as well. Calvin Ramsey, two promising youngsters. By far the busiest side in the Premier League transfer markets. Well, the so-called top six has been Tottenham, Charlison, Basuma, Ivan Perisic, Fraser Forster and Clement Longley as well. Chelsea, you imagine, in the coming weeks won't be too far behind. Sterling being joined by Kalidou Koulibaly this week. So 4 new recruits for Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus, Fabio Vieira, who we've not seen yet in pre-season. Turner, of course, he's in goal. And Marquinhos, the little cameo, didn't he, in Germany? On the bench today.
Yeah, 4 tidy signings, I think. I hadn't seen much of Matt Turner, but he's looked a lot more confident, I think, in today's game. I think in the first half, the defence were pretty sound, wasn't they? There's not really been much call for him, but when he's been called upon, he's needed to. He's not got no issues with his distribution. Tonight, he's been pretty tidy. As you said, we've not seen Fabio yet, but from what I hear, clips I have seen of his time at Porto, and looking at his assist record as well, excuse me, he's pretty tidy. I think it's about 14 last season. 6 goals he scored. So, you know, he's another option, 22 years old. And I just think he brings another bit of pace and fluidity across that area just in front of our centre forward, who will be shared, I believe, between Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus.
It's an assist every 95 minutes for Fabio Vieira last season, better than any player in Europe's top 7 divisions.
Yeah, you look at that over someone like Jesus, who I think got 8 last season. You think, hold on a minute, 8, and he's a great player. it's going to be interesting, isn't it? To keep seeing those assists, because for every assist, there's probably 2 or 3 good chances created as well. So opportunities galore. And now we've got someone at the front who hopefully is going to be more direct at putting them away.
Jesus, 41 appearances, 13 goals, 12 assists. I mean, it's pretty incredible, isn't it? 56 Brazil caps, 19 goals. So won trophies at international level as well. 2019 Copa America, 2016 gold medal in Rio. How important is it to have players with that level of winning mentality come into a side?
Yeah, it will. He knows what it takes to get to that level. What you want is you want players coming in into your club who show you how to get to the next level. When Dennis Bergkamp came to Arsenal, he showed all the other players how to get to the next level, which was conditioning, looking after yourself, paying attention to certain parts of your game. And you look at players like that, and the young players think, I can do what he does. I'm going to emulate that little bit of extra training he does to top my game up.
Speaking of young players, there's the youngest on the tour. Number 97, Roy Walters. Says quite a lot, doesn't it, that number 97 isn't even representative of the year that he was born. It's actually far later than that. Just 17 years old.
It's the actual year that one of my children were born, 97. So, yeah. I remember the days when the squad numbers went up to about 22 and that was it. But, you know, they have got a big pool now. And it's difficult for players to make their mark. And these games are important for them because although then we might not see him for 2 or 3 seasons in the side, we'll always get back to this game and remember when he came on. And he's part of the squad now. And he will be travelling with them on certain occasions and he'll feel part of it. And that's the whole idea, I think, the whole ethos that Arteta's trying to bring to the club is put Jack Wilshere in as under 18, the manager as well, to try and just, you know, glue all that together, confirm that we are Arsenal and there's an Arsenal way again.
Well, Roy Walters was actually at Tottenham Hotspur's academy for 4 years. He ended up taking a 2-year break from football after falling out of love with the game. He wanted to work out what he was all about in that time. Joined Arsenal, and since then, really been thrown in at the deep end. He was deputising for Brooke Norton-Cuffy for the under-23s. It was meant to just be for a couple of games. He was so good, they were actually able to send Norton-Cuffy out on loan. Obviously, a very talented player as well. But they did have a 16-year-old playing week in, week out in the Premier League too. Goes to show how highly they rate this teenager. By Mari also on the pitch. So Saliba leave the field. It's with Granit Xhaka as well. Sammy Lokonga's into midfield as well.
Yeah, he's gone for the 70-minute mark, hasn't he, Arteta, with some of the more experienced players, just getting the legs, getting the work in the legs now, allowing enough time for recovery.
See Reece Nelson popping up to the left of your screen as well. We'll get 20 minutes or so. A man who was in form at the back end of last season. Ketia looking to fire one in on the spin. Gordon up against Bellerin.
I've got to say, Max, whilst Everton are 2-0 down, and deservedly so, some of their defending in situations when they're under a lot of pressure has been very good individually. You can't rely on that all season, obviously. And maybe it's just picking up from where they left off at the end of last year because every game was a battle and that's the mentality they had to have in that area because it's the crucial area of the box. But they're good there. They just need to expand a bit and, you know, move their game plan up the pitch.
You've hit the man on the head there. It's back to the wall defending that they were used to towards the back end of last season. It's their third lowest finish of all time, the lowest since 2004 under David Moyes. Joint lowest points tally with that season as well. Holding. It's a nice take from Nicola Pepe. On the ball again. Finding Bellerin. And a nice spin from Eddie Nketiah. I remember when we interviewed him not too long ago, he said that was one of his favourite skills in football. He called it the Jack Wilshere no-touch turn. It's fake, drop a shoulder, let the ball roll across you, get away.
It's very, it's nice for Jack that they've named it after him, but like I said earlier on, Max, that's been around since the start of football. I think I remember someone doing it in 1881, a no-touch turn, and I bet they did. I guarantee it happened. It was one of Ian Wright's favourites as well. He loved to used to draw the defender in and fake to touch it one way, just open his body, let it run across and spin onto it. But yeah, once you get it, I think I might have seen Mikel Arteta do it in training on a clip from the Arsenal website a week ago or so, and he wanted to celebrate. You could see, but he held his managerial etiquette in, didn't he? And he kept it under the lid, sort of thing, if you like. Didn't show off.
There's another fake there from Ross Warrington. And he's looking to be the beneficiary. He's dealt with it well. Getting a bit congested in that midfield, but that's an excellent through ball. Okay, very unlucky not to get on the end of it. Well, and then he is capable of playing passes like that. I seem to remember one in the Europa League too long ago that he threaded through the gap. Maybe against CSKA Moscow, Danny Welbeck, I seem to remember. Quite a long time ago now, such has been the turnover of this squad. And there on the ball was quite a key part of that team. Playing in blue is Iwobi. He does just enough at the far post.
Yeah, good skill by Iwobi. Little foot overs. Took the opportunity to clip the ball far post.
Into the final 15 minutes. All the damage so far tonight, done in the first half. Gabriel Jesus scoring the first, setting up the second. Although Nketiah might look to profit here. Billy Krellin had to be alert. Just sloppy back pass from Tarkowski.
Yeah, did well, Krellin. And I think Nketiah was just being a little bit careful at the end because he could see he was going to get hit by the keeper, and he did get a little knock. His anticipation was almost spot on. Saw a couple of times last season and picked goals up from closing the keeper down as well. So once you've got a taste for it, like I said, it's about recognising situations. You've seen that happen before, and you're gonna preempt it, get a head start on it. That's what you need to do, and he almost got there.
Walters. Nelson outside him. Now Nketiah is able to get it onto his favoured right foot. Still Nketiah. Rossi well placed to block that. It looked like it was goal bound. Henry's able to deal with Rondon. I
think second half Everton looking much happier with their shape. Once that 5-4-1 formation, so they've got all the positions covered. And they're still able to default to having 9 players in the box when Arsenal attack. So it does suit them, but moving forward offensively, you can see them. They need more options.
Certainly going to be busy into the summer. The Everton board. Nketiah had to escape the ban again. This time there will be a yellow card. Second Everton player booked this evening. More positive play from Nketiah.
Not quite the Jack Wilshere, no touch. Just the one-touch turn here, but it's a lovely little spin into the space. It's dragged back. And like I said earlier, in the Premier League, that booking, then the whole game, that player's not able to do anything. And if Nketiah can keep doing it, you know, it will influence the game massively. People will have to drop off, give him a little bit of space. And it's important you keep defenders on their toes. And that's what he's done in the last season. He's learnt how to do that rather than sit out on the wing and just sort of be a bit part player. Learnt to take his opportunities a bit more. Cause problems for the opposition.
He's a lot stronger, doesn't he? More confident. Those 1v1s. One arm up from Mohamed El Neni towards Mari at the far post. Down rather theatrically. Would have been soft.
He's up against Tarkowski here. Good strength. The new purchase from Burnley. Will be an asset for them definitely this season.
So hopeful crossfield ball looking for Stanley Mills. Now, less than a month away. Premier League season kicking off. Of course, still head to Crystal Palace away on August the 5th. It's followed up by hosting Leicester City, the Emirates. Bournemouth away follows that. Then it's Fulham at home on the 27th. August concluding in midweek against Aston Villa at the Emirates. October really is the first big test. You've got home North London derby. Home against Liverpool, home against Man City as well. Then we look forward to April, away to Liverpool and City and home to Chelsea. And that could also include the Europa League quarter-finals, should Arsenal get there. Going to need a big squad.
You're already making the season sound really busy, Max. But and you missed out the Man U game after the first run of games in August. Yeah, I think potentially if the teams start right, get a decent win at Palace. Now they're no walkover, and neither are Leicester. But if you can pick up good points at Fulham, Bournemouth, Fulham, and Villa, and potentially, if you could, get 5 out of 5 in that first period, what a start that could be.
Surging run forward on this near side by Raul Walters. And Arteta used 28 players last season, handed out 6 debuts to Conga, Ben White, Tavares, Ramsdale, Tomiyasu and Charlie Coutinho as well. So just one academy lad in that. Obviously the Europa League group stage is an opportunity to add fresh new talent. Seeing lots of Raul Walters in this pre-season schedule. Featured in all 3 of the games so far. I wonder whether he's booked his spot, at least on the bench, on those early Europa League pushes. Battling it out with his opposite number, quite literally. Everton's number 19, Mikalenko. Has escaped with the ball. Somehow stays on his feet. Now Bellerin, screaming for the ball there. Bellerin doesn't want to use it. Still going alone to Bellerin. We're eventually committing the foul. And Pepe just wanted it rolled inside, didn't he? He can maybe shift it onto his left foot and take a shot. Bellerin wanted to hold on to it.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of space for him, especially after that cartwheel previously to win the ball back for Arsenal. And then he wanted it a little bit much earlier than that, didn't he? So he could turn, get it out of his... And you know he's got that in his locker. We see him do it last season. Pull it, one touch, open his body out, curl it into that far top corner.
too many minutes for Pepe last season. 23 appearances, but doesn't tell the full story. Still managed to score 3 goals, 6 assists. She picked up the best assist per minute ratio on the Arsenal side last season, despite only playing 966 minutes. Just 5 Premier League starts among those. So he's still a very useful asset, even though his opportunities were few and far between. As we've said on numerous occasions tonight, another opportunity or another competition means more opportunities, chances for players to try to force their way back into the Premier League side.
Yeah, and I think that's where that statistic really gets a boost for him, because if you are only coming on for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, and you make 2 or 3 things happen, you know, you're gonna be an important player, aren't you? A squad player. But for him, I think he'd rather just do the 2 or 3 and play the 90 minutes and still get 2 or 3 in. However, you know, you would call him kind of super sub. I remember Podolski was the highest. He had the highest goal scoring ratio per minute than any player in the Premier League, although he only scored, I think, four goals. Relative to his time on the pitch, he was a #1 marksman.
Really quick feet from Rob Holding there to played first Rondon and then Alex Iwobi. Nathan Mars can pick out Pepe. Here charging forward in midfield. And he is now in under 21's record goal scorer. And then he went over the top for Bellerin to chase. Just going to skip away from him.
Yeah, just forcing the issue there on any. I think sometimes when you've got a team backing off that much, you want a player who's just going to move the ball forward again. I think if that's Ødegaard, and they're totally different players, I think he sees the team back off and he runs with the ball. He moves into that space. I'm liking what I've seen today, Max. Two different sides each half. But certainly that first half side looked more natural in the shape. They looked more at home with the shape four at the back.
It's a bit better from Everton. 5 minutes left. Stringing together some passes now, the Toffees. Now he's trying to turn away from Walters. Hope he uses his strength. So straight back to Pablo Maro. Walters again. Holding's got to be careful with this one. Again, he knew exactly what was around him. Had a good picture of the environment. Bellerin could get into his stride. And then he urged to shoot by the owners in attendance. Pepe, Bonga, Velneni once more. Scored an absolute scorcher against Nürnberg last time out. Bonga. It's a chance for Wilson to make his mark on this game from the left-hand side. 2 more touches as the game progresses. On the opposite flank now, though, with Maitland-Niles.
I think you've got to remember, Max, as well, these pre-season games, although they're about fitness and that, they do highlight to the manager the players who can really play in the system he wants. You know, little things they do. Do they go backwards on their first touch? Do they go forwards? You know, are they my type of player week in, week out, or are they going to be a squad player? So I think these games, it's important to work on things sometimes that you're not that great at, but the manager wants you to do.
Given away by Rob Holding. Arsenal then were closing in on about 40 consecutive passes. He'll have some defending to do. The numbers now, though, look at that defensive structure. Everton try to play their way through it. Maybe wasn't happy with Harry's challenge. Will be a yellow card for the Arsenal man.
It's his second yellow card in 2 games. He picked up one against Nuremberg, didn't he? As well. Do these yellow cards count going into the season, Max? Do you know?
I'm going to say no.
Nope.
It does do, though. With 1 minute to go. Gives Everton perhaps a shot at Turner's goal. Quite some way out. Anthony Gordon might fancy this.
It's a good distance for to get it up and down, isn't it? So we'll test for Matt Turner if it is on target.
Here's Anthony Gordon straight in the wall. It's going to be a sore one for Lokonga. Cleared by Murray. Niles did very well then too. Away from 2 men. Not sure he wanted the ball from Pepe. Lokonga. Tarkowski, a bit of afters there. Still have the ball though. Now here's Pepe onto his favourite foot. Throat, Billy Krellin.
Yeah, could have been a difficult one for Krellin there. Just bounced in front of him. If that's just to the side of him, it's a difficult one to deal with, but he does well, the young lad.
Not sure. Bauman spotted there. Nikolenko has made up a lot of ground. Very nearly the end of it. Emrin had to force the issue. He's in position now, the Spaniard. Arsenal have done just enough to hold up play. Wellington will go for goal. It's a speculative effort.
He's disappointed, but I think he can be happy with his performance since coming on at half-time. I think all the young lads for Everton have done well. They've shored up the side a little bit. They've worked hard, lots of energy. It's really, like I said, just falling down at the last hurdle, aren't they, in the creativity department.
Here he is again, Wellington. Really, Tarkowski a bit short there. That's it. Really well to take that away from him. Now Lokonga looking for a kick here again. Tarkowski matched his run into the area. Really nice ball from Lokonga with the outside of his boot. Nearly to Pepe. He's looking for the extra half yard to get the shot away. Nicola Pepe. Stanley Mills right on him there.
He's had a good game for Everton in the second half since coming on in the middle. Not really put a foot wrong. You know, he's up against some tough players in those wing positions. He's not afraid to get involved either.
He's not. A bit early to be trying to get Nicola Pepe's shirt. Fairly substantial backup behind him though. Michael Keane and James Tarkowski, they're big guys.
But the units have come in, haven't they, to sort it out. I'd imagine Pepe, the way he plays as well, can be a right thorn in your side. He's all at elbows and angles, isn't he? And unpredictability.
Sort of player who could really embarrass you as a youngster. That's a crunching challenge. Well, Tarkowski really wound up from the exchange with Pepe. Arsenal not happy with that challenge. And thankfully, Lokonga looks to be okay. punching tackle right at the end of the match. You can see why the referee has blown his whistle when he did. Completely unnecessary from James Tarkowski. Really a sour end to this game. Mikel Arteta's side did all of the damage in the first half. Gabriel Jesus scoring yet again. Make it 3 goals in his first 2 games for Arsenal. Before setting up Bukayo Saka, who doubled Arsenal's advantage. Everton came back in their numbers in the second half. Their youth team put on a respectable display. Arsenal managed to hold firm. I mean, the final score here is Arsenal 2, Everton 0. Don't forget, you can join us on Arsenal.com for live coverage of the FC series. Next up is Wednesday's clash with Orlando City. And then Saturday's final against Chelsea, live on Arsenal.com. Then after flying back home, Mikel Arteta